Hello, I really hope that you're keeping well. If what you need right now is a laugh, click on the link that I am pointing at, or that will be below this video. If you've got the energy for a little bit of serious talk, let's do that. I think what we need to talk about this week is the death toll from COVID-19. Of course, people in the UK are absolutely shocked and horrified that it's crashed through the 10,000 mark and it's absolutely soaring. And what I think is really important to remember is that that's not the death toll. The death toll is way, way, way higher than that for a number of reasons. First of all, the government is counting COVID-19 related deaths in the most dishonest and despicable way. They are only counting confirmed cases of people who die in hospital. So you can go to hospital with symptoms, and if you die before you've been tested, you don't count. You can die at home and you don't count. You can go to hospital with symptoms, be tested, and then the hospital discharges you for whatever reason, you don't count. It's absolutely horrific. Doctors have also been told, and this is a frightening thought, doctors have been ordered, if a patient has more than one condition, to write down the other conditions. So if a patient is in hospital with a heart condition and then they contract COVID-19 and then they die, doctors have been told to write down that they've died of a heart condition, even if the heart condition was minor, they were getting better, there was every hope of them being discharged and fully recuperating, etc., etc. No, they've been told to write that down, and inevitably people will have to go along with that to protect their jobs. So that already is frightening. People dying at home is frightening. And there's one more place that people are dying that is perhaps the most terrifying, and that's care homes. About 500,000 people in the UK live in care homes. And actually, the number is rising, or at least more people are being admitted. For this reason, lockdown is affecting people's ability to access services which they normally use to look after themselves. So, for example, if you're an elderly couple and one of you has quite serious dementia, that person might be going out to daycare drop-in centres where they are, supported throughout the day, doing activities, being looked after throughout the day. You might have a nurse or a trained professional who comes round to your house several times a week and helps look after this person. Suddenly all of that is gone because of lockdown, which means that the other partner is now a 24/7 carer for somebody with some quite serious issues. And so there's been a lot of cases of people suddenly going, well, I can't actually do all of this. It's not reasonable. It's going to cause problems for me. It's going to make me ill. It's going to put my well-being in jeopardy. I'm going to have to ask for this person to be moved into a care home. There are also people being discharged from hospital who still have symptoms of COVID-19 or have been tested positive for COVID-19 and who are being discharged into the care of care homes. Sometimes because they're making a recovery and they're intended to go back to a care home to convalesce, and sometimes because there's nothing else that can be done and it's decided that they should be discharged to make space for other patients. Care homes have been told, and this is absolutely shocking, that they are entitled to a maximum of 5 tests, right? Now, the average care home in the UK has about 50 residents. And of course, that means that some of them are way, way, way bigger than that, with several hundred residents. And if the first 5 people they test turn out not to have coronavirus, turn out to have had a really nasty cold or a flu or other conditions, there's no more tests. They can't test the next person. That's it. After that, they just have to be going on guesswork. And if some people test positive and then other people have perhaps more minor symptoms or whatever, they can't check whether they actually have coronavirus. They're just having to make a guess. Care homes have been told to isolate those who've tested positive for coronavirus, and then also to create a separate isolation area for those who are symptomatic but have not tested positive, which of course might include people who do have it, as well as people who've just got a cold and are now being put next to people who've actually got it but we can't test. We can't prove that those people shouldn't be in the same space. And then there's people who haven't got any symptoms and don't seem to have it. And they've been told to keep those 3 groups of people separate, which completely misunderstands how easy it is to tell somebody with serious dementia or other conditions that they shouldn't leave their room, that they shouldn't wander about, that they shouldn't go into this area or that area. It's not as easy as that, because these are people who need full-time support, which means they're not people who can just do these kind of things on their own or necessarily. And the outcome of this, which we are seeing, is absolutely terrifying. There's a care home over the weekend reported that a third of their residents have died. There's a major organisation that runs a large number of care homes. They say about half of their care homes now have a COVID-19 outbreak in them. And this is among the most vulnerable people in our society who need to have been shielded from day one. Even the government is admitting now that their numbers suggest that 13.5% of care homes have a COVID-19 outbreak. That is thousands and thousands of extremely vulnerable people put at risk. Horrifically put at risk. Care homes are not being issued with free government-issued personal protective equipment. They're having to buy PPE in the marketplace in the same way that you or I would. They're on Amazon and websites trying to buy PPE, and they're still paying VAT on it. They are literally paying tax to the government to buy face masks and gloves for workers working with confirmed cases of COVID-19 in care homes. What we need to do is to take all of those people and ease the burden on care homes by putting them into individual isolation spaces. We need thousands and thousands of small one-person spaces with a bathroom facility, with a bed, with TV, that kind of stuff. We need these little spaces, and we need thousands and thousands of them. And obviously that's asking a great deal of the government, or it would be if there weren't like a few thousand empty hotels up and down the country. I mean, it's the most glaringly obvious solution that humanity has ever had. How do you accommodate one person on their own in a small space? Oh, it's called a hotel. That's exactly what hotels do. That's what they are. And then we can have volunteers and trained staff in the corridors checking on people going, it's so obvious. It's terrifying. The government needs to do it now, absolutely now, and take the burden off people struggling and falling apart in care homes, because the stories are absolutely terrifying and they need to do that immediately. And the one thing that would really incentivise them to do that is if the media stepped up to the plate and started adding in care home deaths. And it might have to be an estimate, and it might have to be a question of chasing around to get the best numbers that we can. But we need to point out that people are dying in their hundreds in care homes around the country, and that is absolutely the government's fault. And in order to get them to act and sort it out, I think we have to start being a lot clearer about the death toll, which is way, way, way higher than Boris Johnson and his cronies are letting on. And if that hasn't depressed you enough, my sincerest apologies, but to cheer you up, there is a silly, fun video that you can go click on here. And I'll see you next week. Take care of yourselves.